things because of COVID, like everything else has been canceled, but we're going on. We put some logs in the creek, and the lake is, I don't know what it is today. A few days ago it was about 5.1. I don't know what the level is today, but
496.
496, yeah. So considering the last year wasn't too bad, but the years before that it was down to about 3.5. So it does seem to be working. We still have to do some tweaking because of some erosion, but otherwise that seems to be helping in spite of the very low rainwater we've had. We put up a life jacket loaner station, which seems to be used quite readily. And today we went around the lake and did a large item pickup from places that were lake only access, and picked up refrigerators, water heaters, all kinds of number of things. Filled up a dumpster, and so in the spring we do a lake cleanup. Go around the lake and pick up stuff that's in the lake or on the shore. That's a lot of styrofoam gets loose, you know, bottles, stuff, all kinds of things. So we try and be very active, and we're always looking for membership and active people to help volunteer for these things. And that means you, yeah. I'd like to introduce our board. I think, where's Debbie? Debbie, she's our treasurer. Greta is our secretary. I don't know where Greta is right now. Oh, there she is. And hopefully, after the next election, Diane Snyder will be our vice president. Unless certainly anyone can apply to be membership. We're going to be voting on the board meeting, which is September, the first Wednesday of September. I think it's the first, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, we'll be having our meeting then, and we'll be voting the new board. If anyone is interested in the board, being a member of the board, or interested in activity, please come and see me. We'd love to take your name, and we can vote on you and get you really active, if you would like. And the more members, the more active members, the better the organization can be. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Mader. For those who don't know, that's Mike Mader. I've had several people ask, where's Mike? And there he is. And you can ask him after the meeting any personal questions you have. If it's about the lakes, you can ask him when he's done running his spiel. Okay?
Yep.
I turn it over to Mike. Thank you.
Does anybody need to, hi everybody, does anybody need to shake it loose and stand up a little bit after the dinner and make sure they're placed? Thank you all. I am completely overwhelmed and surprised to see how many people here. When we're running out of food, I think it's the first year we've almost ran out of food. We have one hamburger left. So thank you so much for that. And we'll try to make it interesting for you. If I start slowing down, give me a kick and we'll go. Does everybody, I would like to, and we're going to do some, I'm going to make people introduce themselves here pretty quick. But first, I wanted to point out a couple of questions about this. The photo is from Ringo's outdoor video, whatever we call him, Ringo, and from a drone shot, and he gave that to me. I thought it was kind of cool. Some of you know about some of the cow issues that were occurring on South Lake. I know Mike and Michelle got a really close up. These cows, if you look at the top screen, they were even back further off site, ran all the way around this shoreline about a half mile up, and started living in Mike and Michelle's place saying hi. We were finally able to take care of that. It wasn't that easy though. Anyway, so let's move on, John. Can we do our next one? Slide, please. Everybody ready? So I picked that here. Well, John gave me that one, and I looked back, and no one gives him credit, but Mike Nips is a lakeside old-timer, born and raised, and he collected and digitized all these old photos, all the old photos you see in the restaurants and in town. Mike Nips did that. This is one of the same area that Ringo shot, And it's interesting, it was part of what was called Courier's Rancho. And of course, hopefully, in the history, this was Courier's Village when Hollywood movie stars, Bob Hope and Bing Crosby came and fished. And it's kind of different, you can see all the gardeners. The gardener in me starts looking. And I don't really know, I think they may have grew their food here for their restaurants and everything, but I'm not sure. A 1930s and 40s photo of the same area previously. John, will you push it back a little bit? Nope, wrong way. There you go. It's a little different. A little history. That's got a lot of history. Let's go, John. One more. I like to do it different. I like to thank people first. Instead of when everybody's tired and they won't remember who I'm thanking. I want to thank first all the chefs that were out there. Thank you, Bob and Sarah and Diane. I got to tell you, Bob was the only one that knew he was cooking. We just threw Cliff into it. He did a great job. And same thing with Jane and my own little Gilligan out there doing it. So our thank yous, Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board, 3.5% of lottery dollars go to them and go to Watershed Councils, entities like me. Coos County Board of Commissioners, they are the one entity that could say we're going to fire meter and I'd accept it. CFE is my landlord and the best commercial electrician you can get. The Yield 10 Mile Step is the ones that we borrowed their barbecue and their tables, and they have a fantastic group. If you're new to the area and you want to learn how to fish, join the Yield 10 Mile Step. Tenmile Lakes Association, Al's group, Debbie's group, they've always been a strong partner. Barry, a copier, that gave me my copier. Department of State Lands, some of you guys know about those folks, and Department of Fish and Wildlife, and Environmental Quality, all the state agencies. I can't see the bottom one. City of Lakeside, I actually know many people. I worked 20 years for the City of Lakeside in a more official capacity, a lot less freedom than I have now. In a good place here. Lakeside Lions, the O'Briens, Royalty of Lakeside, Diana's here. She did all the hand carrying. She's going to kick me after I get done introducing her. McKinney's North Lake Resorts. Project Sightlanders, we do work up in the hills, and all our Sightlanders voluntarily give us their land to do projects on. Ringo's Lakeside Marina. I do remember when a beautiful young couple walked into my office in City Hall and they were told to come talk to me. And I lied to them. I said, this is the most beautiful place and there's no politics and no recalls.
Water quality is great.
Water quality is great. And buy that marina, John. I really thought I saw the mayor of Lakeside when I saw John and his bald head. CTCLC, that's the acronym for the Coos, the Hennis Coos tribes. I also want to thank the Potato Bottom Road Association. They're not on there. They should be. We're working with them on a future project. And that's it. I do want to point out a couple board members of mine. Bob Main, Commissioner Bob Main was your tuna cook. He is Coos County Board Commissioner Chair. Dee Drummond, North Lake Resort, is here hiding. And I don't know if any other of my board members are here. They're probably already ate and ran. How are we doing with our speed and our volume? You guys okay?
Good.
Okay, because I can go pretty fast. Slow me down if you need to. And raise your hand if you want to ask a question. I'm not the guy that says hold your questions until the end. Just be patient with them. I try to answer them, and so go on. This is not going to be a scientific presentation. I could give you more data and blow your mind and make you fall asleep, but this is not about that one. We can do that later. We're going to talk about what we do on the lake and the land use and general stuff. That red looks horrible, John. But we're going to do introductions. That means I would like everybody here to introduce themselves, say their name, and how long they've been on the lakes. And maybe even where you're at, if you're comfortable. We're going to talk about general characteristics. We're going to talk about Tenmile Lakes land use. Of course, land use, everything we do impacts our lakes. We're going to do it quickly. Tenmile Lakes water quality improvement projects, specifically the ones we're doing to help the lake. We're going to give you some of the background on the Tenmile Creek Restoration Project. Everybody thinks they know what it was about and know what happened. In fact, it started 15 years ago, for those of you that have been around that long. The Coleman Arm Bottom Aeration Project is a new one that we're working on to control algae. We'll cover that a little bit. The lakefront owners' do's and don'ts. That's why I'm really interested to meet the new lakefront homeowners and kind of let them see that and review it. It's still a draft. That is what's been handed out, hopefully to get your brains thinking, or maybe get me already. And then, if we're still not bored and have a sleep, we're going to have open discussion and Q&A. But again, if you want to, just raise your hand and I'll try to catch it. All right, let's go. Who and what is the TLBP? The Tenmile Lakes Basin Partnership. We were 94, 96, that was the flowery name for everybody that was a Watershed Council, the partnership. This is an older photo of my board when we were at City Hall. An interesting part of this is that we were meeting about Devil's Lake grass carp to control weeds. And we had a Portland State expert and ODF&W expert, and of course we never did get grass carp. But my board is voluntary. It is set by the state. So I had somebody, can I join TLBP? Well, you can come to the meetings, but actually TLA has a seat. The president of TLA has a seat on my board. The ODF&W, North Lake businesses. So it's set, tribes, it's set by the state who can be on my board. Open, you can read my minutes, and we do it. And I'm pretty proud of it. My current board, we've been together almost too long, huh, Dee? I mean, we've been together over 12 years. They function very well, and I'm extremely proud of them. They don't get paid, I do, and they help me quite a bit. Next. Now, who in the hell's speaking? This mayor guy. I like to know when I go to presentations who's the guy talking, and they never do it. I put these online. I grew up, born and raised on Shutter's Arm. This is my family. I put these on Facebook, and no one actually called it, but this is my mother, my two twin sisters. We're fishing on our dock for bluegills. That's when we had bluegills. And I'm there with my boots on right there, all the way down to Shutters. I have done riparian violations. I have cut trees when we shouldn't have. I cut this down to put our illegal septic system in 70s. And there is a big story about that, but yes, and you can see the lake behind it right there. Now people say it wasn't green, but you can look back in that little piece, and there's a little green in there. But we didn't have toxicology then. I put this there to show you that when I'm trying to tell you what to do on the lake, I've been there and done that. I'm not one of the biologists sitting in Salem. I grew up on the lake. I know what you can and can't do. I know what not to do especially. So I think I did it all. I think I hand carried a sand beach in 5-gallon buckets, and it disappeared in 1 year with canary grass. But let's move on. Here's the other piece of me. One of my good bosses gave me a don't ever give up. That's kind of a motto. And it's something that for Lakesiders, if you think someone else is going to help us do what we need to do, you're wrong. We have to do it ourselves, and we have to do it together in partnership. There's a picture. I like to show that a little bit. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I was a jarhead. I still act like a jarhead. And you don't want to see that part of me. I'm not really happy when I'm screaming, so but there it is. Any other jarheads out there? Okay. You've seen that photos before. TLBP, right? So we didn't just go and start inventing things. You know, we actually did we studied it. And one of the big ones I like to point out is the nutrient budget studies. That's the basis for most of the science that we have. The nutrient budget told us we know how much dirt is coming in this lake with every inch of rain from every basin. So we've got the science. Now I'm not going to say we know everything. I'm the one saying I don't know everything. But this slide is up there to show you that we've done the background and we're assessing, planning, and implementing. And I have copies of anything of that you guys want to see. Interesting part, point out the sanitary survey. We'll talk about that later. Next. Watersheds are about people. TLBP is about people. The next thing, I hate to say it, is we have to function with money. This is our biennial, so every 2 years, this is a small year for us. Total revenue was about $517,000. Someone's got a calculator out there that can figure it out. But that's just showing you where the most of our money goes. It does not go to my salary. We put it on the ground in contracted services. Although I do get a pretty good raise. TLBP and the Watershed Councils in '94 were started to protect these guys. The state knew that the habitat for endangered native coho salmon was on private land, and they weren't even having access. And they created Watershed Councils to work from the bottom up. And when I first started, all the gates were locked. And we've done it, I usually have a bunch of pictures of lock gates, we don't have enough time. So when you take TLBP and everybody's saved the lake, where originally most of our money is going to where we are supposed to protect these guys. These are coho salmon spawning up Big Creek on North Lake Arm. Back in when we had salmon. Next. We're also doing some science. We are the guys that do lamprey out there at the culvert at the entrance, if you've seen us. It's kind of neat. If you remember Wild Kingdom, we're actually inserting radio tags in these specific lamprey. They are very important to our tribal partners. I still will not eat one. I don't want to eat one, but that's part of our study. So we do some real good science too. We're learning a lot about that. One of the first in the coast to do that. Next. Okay. You go back and look at some of the history and some of the advertisements. They had 147 shoreline miles on the lake. Well, in reality, that was a real estate ad, and it was absolutely inaccurate. Our shoreline miles for the lake are about 42 shoreline miles for the whole lake. So if you went all the way around, it's about 42, not 147. You may seem that. Your acreage, your shoreline miles, and your depths. Your depths are very variable, as you know. Okay. Next. Land use. Everybody know what I'm saying? Land use is how we use the land. Timber, farming, urban, city, all the lakefront. And I'll point this one out to you. This is part of our 2003 study. And you'll see the green there and the gray, that's all on the right side of that. That's the Elliott State Forest. The Elliott State Forest is actually up in arms right now. We don't know whether it's going to be owned by or managed by OSU or still by the Department of State Lands. The Elliott State is the largest block of ownership in the watershed, even after they sold 3 pieces of it. The gray is industrial timber. We have a lot of timber here. That makes up probably almost 3/4 of our watershed is timber operations. You can see agricultural in some of the lower grays going up there. 4% of our watershed is agriculture, and that has some of the biggest impacts to our lakes. We'll talk about it. The dunes, and then the lakefront, you can actually see the city of Lakeside. There are 3,000 acres with that little candy stripe thing there, and some state park property. Our watershed includes from Clear Lake all the way down to Saunders Lake when you're driving on 101. It's 97 square miles, 64,000 acres of the watershed.